Oh God, I'm crooked. My poof is not poofed out like I want. Gotta get my hair done this weekend. All right, what's up, y'all? It's Dominique, aka That Therapist. For those of you that don't know me, I am the lead clinician and CEO for a group practice known as Yellow Bird Counseling. What is that? What's the Yellow Bird Counseling? So, our normal day-to-day activities include providing individual, family, couples, individual, family, couples, group therapy or counseling, mental health therapy or counseling in the state of Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, New Jersey, and Idaho, with soon more states to come. Hopefully, no later than the beginning of next year. Soon more states to come. And yeah, so that's what we do at our normal day-to-day operations. What do we do here on social media? Well, our mission here on social media is to educate the general populations on reasons that we all could benefit from having a therapist outside of simply just having a mental illness. So please, please, please help us in that effort by sharing our live to your friends, your family, your coworkers, in your groups, your cousin, your auntie, everybody, because mental health and the stigma that surrounds it is still a very big thing. I was actually on a live on another platform last night, and I was just in the live, just in the comments, and it was a creator that had a lot of followers, and I guess that doesn't really matter, but they didn't even know what the word depression meant. I didn't even know that there's people that just still don't even know the meaning of the word or haven't heard it, like literally don't know the definition, had to look it up. So I'm like, well, we have a lot of work to do, so please help us. It shouldn't, in 2023, it shouldn't be anybody that doesn't at least have heard the word and know the definition, basically, like the basic definition. Even if y'all don't know the clinical, y'all know if you're depressed, you've been sad for a long time, in general, we can work with that. But if you don't have any knowledge of it, that's when, it gets a little bit scarier. So please join us in the effort of breaking the stigma that surrounds mental health and wellness by sharing our lives with your sphere of influence so that they can become educated too, and we can debunk some myths that they may have about what it means to see a therapist or what it doesn't mean, and etc. So that's what we do. We do that every Thursday, or most Thursdays, around 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is 9 p.m. Eastern, which is 6 p.m. Pacific, which is 7 p.m. Mountain Time, I believe. Okay, so definitely please lock in with us, give us a follow, give us a like, so you'll know what we do. Also, we got our upcoming Wellness Expo that's going to be coming up in the next month, so definitely you want to stay tuned for that. We got all the information on our page for you to take a look at. As far as how to participate in that, we're looking for vendors, we're looking for wellness practitioners. So if you have a friend, a family member, a coworker that do massages, esthetician, we're looking for all of that. And if you're a wellness vendor, so if you have a product or service that you offer, we also have vendor spaces available. So definitely be on the lookout for. Well, actually, it's already out. You don't even gotta be on the lookout. It's out. It's out. You can sign up. You can do all that. And if you can't make it, because this is a charitable event, we do have some flu in me. Woo, baby, I got the fan blowing, bugs. It's summer, okay? It's summer in the South. You can pull up our QR code on your phone for anybody if they're interested. They could just click that QR code and shoot us a donation if they're not able to attend, but they would like to, sponsor us. The proceeds go to our interns' clients who have been seeing our interns for free, but now that our interns have graduated and their clients want to maintain relationships with them, but maybe don't have the financial means to do so, we are raising money for that effort so that clients can continue their mental treatment, their mental health therapies on with a practitioner they've already built a relationship with and trust. So definitely help us in that effort. Share our posts so that we can get the word out about our expo and have a great time. We'll talk more about that in the coming weeks. But tonight, what are we doing? What are we doing tonight? So we talked a little bit about, or a lot about, different types of romantic identities when we were on with Kristen. Was that week before last? And so Kristen kind of touched on attachment and attachment styles and what does that mean as far as relationships are concerned and social engagement and social development is concerned. So we're going to dive deeper into that. So please bring your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother, your cousin, share with them because they may be enlightened too when they find out about attachments. But I'm not doing it by myself. Of course, I got one of my other Yellowbird ambassadors. Y'all know I've been bringing them on. They're just so great. I mean, if you have all the smarts in one place, why not just, get your very qualified health professionals on staff to help you deliver the message? So, not only I got an ambassador, but this is one of the special ambassadors. This is one of my supervisory ambassadors. So, like one of the, you know what I'm saying? Right hands. And y'all have not seen her much, but that's okay. Maybe we can talk her into getting into it a little bit more with us on a more consistent basis. But without further ado, y'all may remember her from a while ago, but let's bring her on.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Kayla.
Hello.
We hadn't seen you in ages.
I know. Probably since my very first live that said.
Oh my God! I thought you did at least one other one.
I don't think so.
Man, well, shoot, you got to introduce yourself to the folks and tell them what you do and all that.
Okay. What would you like me to include in the introduction?
Whatever you want to.
Okay. Well, I'm Kayla. I am a supervising therapist with Yellowbird. I've been with the company over 2 years. I am a LPC or a licensed professional counselor. So yeah, I work with couples, individuals, families. I have training in marriage and family therapy, but I am very eclectic in my approach in the populations I work with. I have experience with couples and family, but substance abuse issues, eating disorders, anxiety, depression, trauma, um, relationship conflicts, communication issues, a little bit of everything. So I'm a jack of all trades, but always trying to learn so many different things. So I'm the go-to person for a lot of different things.
Yes, Kayla. Yeah, Kayla is one of the. Kayla be coming up with the assist always. I'll be like, Kayla be like, whoop, swoop in with the assist always. So that's Kayla, the right hand and the brain. You know what I'm saying? So we got Kayla here. This is one of Kayla's creme de la cremes. This is her area of expertise. So tell us about that. Tell us what, built your interest in attachments.
Um, Attachments is my thing. I love it. I love it. It fascinates me. It works well for literally everybody. Knowing what attachment is, what your attachment style is, and how it relates to other people can be helpful because as humans, we're always in relation to something or someone else, whether it's our family of origin, our romantic partners, our friends. The attachment style and how we attach to others will definitely come out to play. I got interested in it probably in my undergraduate studies from like developmental psychology class. Taking that class also scarred me because they showed us a natural childbirth class.
Oh God.
But the attachment part, learning about that and how what you experience as a child, because sometimes we talk about that, our childhood impacts our relationships or impacts us in adulthood, but attachment helps us to see exactly how and why that happens and ways to navigate it and also how to treat it. We cannot necessarily change our attachment style, but we can change our beliefs and our behaviors to help improve how we interact with other people.
Interesting, interesting. Love it, love it. So I know people have kind of heard the term, at least, well, I would think maybe I feel like I've heard lay people, and I say lay people, people that aren't clinical, as far as healthcare professionals or mental health care professionals, kind of throw the term attachment styles around. They may have taken a quiz or something. So, kind of start us off. Tell us about like what is the nitty gritty and build us up. You know, where does it? What does it start? What's the basics of it?
Okay. Well, we'll start with what attachment is to begin with. Um, so, attachment refers to the bonds that humans have with one another, and it can start as early as infancy, usually connected with your primary caregiver. And I say that because most textbooks is going to say the mom, but that's not everybody's story as far as their primary caregiver. But it's rooted in safety. So, attachment describes how we find comfort and stability and even protection in other humans. So it's the way that we connect to someone else and what those bonds look like. So and it does
So
start.
that's normal then. It's normal to want to feel connected to another human then.
Exactly. And sometimes what we go through, or what we're taught culturally can interfere with that. For example, the old wives' tale or belief that, if your baby is crying, let them cry it out, let them learn to self-soothe. That could impact their attachment style. Because as a primary caregiver to an infant, they don't know how to communicate with you except for to cry. So whatever their needs are, that's how they're going to communicate it. Whether they're hungry, they need a diaper change, or they just want to cuddle or play, that all is rooted in their attachment. So how you respond and how quickly you respond shapes their attachment style, and it's going to impact how they're talking to their spouse 30 years later. So
Hmm.
it's something to be mindful of.
And,
Um,
and a lot of people still really believe that, like, let the baby cry it out, and I even heard people say some stuff that our grandmas, moms, grandmothers, or whatever used to tell us about child rearing isn't actually the best advice.
yeah,
So it's good that you're debunking that, because again, I've said it myself, like, oh, okay, so you just let the baby cry.
yeah, yeah. I think that can be helpful if you're like weaning him off the pacifier or something like that. But in general attachment, your baby is crying, you need to respond as quickly as possible so that you can form a secure bond with the baby. And that kind of moves me into the types of attachment. That when you talk about the styles of attachment, there's four different types. Well, two main types. You have your secure attachment, and then we have insecure attachment. Secure is the gold standard. We would all love to be securely attached, but unfortunately, life happens and that doesn't always happen. Also, I'd like to add that when it comes to parents and how they help you to form the attachment bond, it's not something they're doing on purpose. They're doing the best they can, they're doing what they know to do. So, how you end up as far as your attachment style is concerned, it's not, don't go to your parents like, you messed me up, because that's not what they were attempting to do. Um,
Hopefully not.
right. We're going to assume the best in the
Right.
situation. But the secure attachment is the great one, the one that we'd all like to be. Insecure attachment comes with three different styles or types. That would be the anxious, preoccupied style. Then we have avoidant, dismissive, and then we also have our disorganized attachment style. So those are the three insecure types. Most of the population belong to one of those insecure types of attachment. Um, Even therapists, it is believed that most of therapists have insecure attachment, and that we're mostly anxiously preoccupied with our attachment styles.
I see that. I could see that.
Right. So there's different characteristics for each one, and this is where it gets fun. With my clients, I have like there's online quizzes you can take, but I do have some that are more clinical in nature, and then others that I might give to people that are single or are using their attachment to understand a relationship between them and their parents versus what I would give to couples and they're trying to understand how they attach to their partner. Because generally you should get the same result, but you may not. So those online quizzes can be good, but you might not get the most accurate answer. Working with a therapist will help you because most times I'm able to predict what a client's attachment style is before I give them the assignment to take the quiz.
Tell us about it. Tell us like what he I know, I mean, the secure, I guess we could kind of maybe we could guess what that would look like. But what would each of, definitely the three insecure types, but what do all four of those types kind of show up like?
Okay, great way to dive into it. So the secure attachment, I'll start with that one. People that are securely attached, and I got some notes here, typically communicate their feelings directly. They're more open with their partners. They trust their partners, so they don't really have a lot of conflict in regards to trust. They are engaging in healthy relationships, and they have good intimacy and communication. They're also autonomous. That's a big part of it. So they're able to belong in that relationship and feel loved and wanted in that relationship, but also able to be an independent person where they're not depending on that partner to feel safe, because remember, attachment is rooted in safety, in comfort and connection. So they can feel that comfort without necessarily being attached to another person. But when they are attached to another person, it comes out in a healthy way. So their relationships are typically fulfilling. They all relationships have some level of conflict, but they're able to resolve conflict usually more quickly because they can communicate well. So they can handle it. They're not shy away from conflict. They understand that it's healthy to have it and how to resolve it. Often attentive and affectionate towards their partners as well, and they're committed to the relationship. They know how to fight fair. They're calm in that regard. They feel balance between themselves and their partner. They know how to apologize and to forgive when necessary. And they not only can they give love, but they can receive love and affection freely. Um, so I
So
think,
that's not a lot of folks.
yeah, and they're also flexible. But yeah, most people, that's why most people fall into that insecure attachment, one of those three types, because one of the ways to have good attachment, of course, starts with your parents or primary caregivers from what they do in infancy, but also what is modeled for us. So if you don't have an example of what a healthy relationship looks like, you're not likely to adapt that. You may learn over time, but that's not your core base for how you deal with things.
Yeah. So, like, would you say roughly maybe it's like 25% of the population that falls in
Yep.
that category of secure attachment?
Right. I would. I think that's more accurate. I had some statistics, but I've learned some, I should say, but I don't remember them all. But that does sound very close. Yes.
Yeah, so small. I mean, in the grand scheme of the whole population, that's not a whole lot of folks. It's 75% who to these people, and they probably this 25% probably want to
Mm-hmm.
stay in their own little
Mm-hmm.
woosah, their own little zen. So they probably aren't going going after the rest of us 75% may be
Yeah.
a bit of a challenge.
Right. It can. Sometimes they do pair with others who are not securely attached because you don't know people's attachment style when you meet them. And sometimes you don't know it until you're much deeper into the relationship, or you don't realize that there's an issue with those type of things. But yeah, so the anxious, preoccupied. You want to kind of get into that one now?
Sure, yeah. Going into those insecure types.
So the insecure types, anxious, preoccupied. This is the one that most therapists kind of fall into. And also, I want to add that this is not gender specific. So as I'm giving these characteristics, don't think men do this, women do that, non-binary do this. No, it's not gender specific. So the anxiously attached, they're typically dependent on their partner to define their self-worth. They need to feel that love and belonging from their partner to feel like they're good enough. They're emotionally sensitive, and their biggest fear is rejection. And so any threat to that, that's typically where the conflict is going to come from in the relationship. They might be demanding, always saying what their needs are. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And sometimes they can be critical towards their partner. You don't do this. You don't do that. I tell couples that I work with, try to avoid the words always and never when you're having conversations, because but it's going to automatically make the other person be defensive regardless. So it's not healthy to use those. And they're very needy. So that's where the attachment comes from. They're needy, can be described as clingy. They fear losing the relationship, so that's why they're so clingy and needy. They feel like they're fighting for emotional closeness with their partner. They get anxious when they're separated from their partner. So as like the securely attached person can be happy and healthy in a relationship, and then when they're separated from their partner, they're autonomous. The anxiously attached person needs to feel that closeness at all times and often needs reassurance and is asking for that type of thing. They're able to feel intimacy, so they don't have a problem with that, because they have a strong desire to feel close to other people. Sometimes they can play games or be manipulative to feel reassured. They often jump to conclusions without assessing the reality of the situation, and can be jealous, thinking that because, again, they fear that losing the relationship, so they can be jealous. They're highly sensitive to misunderstandings, which often leads to them feeling distressed. They take things personally during a conflict. So anything that happens in conflict or arguments with their partner, they taking it personally. It's not the situation, it's just how you feel about me. And they worry a lot. Most, if you're an anxious person, you worry a lot anyway. But if your attachment is anxious, then you worry excessively about the relationship and if it's going to last and where we're going with this and what's going to happen next. And a lot of times they crave the closeness, but if they feel that their partner has wronged them, they will withhold their affection and physical connection as a way to punish them in a way.
Mm, So tell us kind of like from child, how would it from childhood, what causes or incites a anxious, preoccupied attachment style? What was going on probably?
So good. The way I learned it, I saw a video was really good. I think it was a study they did that. But like say a child and a mom is somewhere and the mom leaves often or leaves for a period of time and the child doesn't want them to leave. And then when they come back into the room or around the child, it's hard to soothe them because they have trouble with that or they don't adequately soothe them. So that can lead to the attachment style being this way for them being anxious, or there's inconsistencies in it, like maybe a parent who provides for them financially, give them things they want, but the quality time is not as sufficient. Or learning their own interests and spending time with them to do things one on one. It could even be things like sitting at the table doing homework with you, or if they are doing the homework is unpleasant. If Johnny had 5 apples, if it's a stressful situation, that can also impact the attachment style that forms between the child and the parent. But it's usually when the parents aren't as affectionate, or the child feels that they have to do certain things, they have to do performative acts to get attention from their parents. Sometimes those performative acts can be acting out, and then other times it could be high achieving. I did well on this, um, I'm the president of my class, or I made this team, I'm great at sports. So it's doing things to make the parent feel good, so they can get that attention from them because they feel that they're not adequately getting it.
So I always think of, with this one, I always think of like maybe if, and when you were saying, it doesn't necessarily mean the parent tried to do anything harmful. It's just what the situation was. So I always think about like a parent who had like multiple jobs or worked multiple
Mhm.
hours.
Yep, or have a lot of kids because it can be hard to balance doing that. I know a lot of times, even when parents do try to spend time with their kids, they do it as a group, but it's also important to have one on one time with each kid. And if you have a large family, that can be a hard thing to manage.
Yeah, yeah. So again, like Kayla said, is in the beginning, it's very important to remember like your parents were not trying to be harmful. Everybody just does the best they can with what they got. And I'm sure my parents and the generation before them, these books probably that we got now wasn't readily available. So
Mhm.
they were just kind of throwing paint at the wall and watching it make something.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yes. Mhm.
Cool, cool. Okay. All right. What's the next insecure type that we see?
Our next ones would be the avoidant dismissive type. Um, and this one, ironically, the anxiously attached and the avoidant attached, these two often date and get married.
Huh.
Yes, they are opposites attract.
Obviously, but geez, that sounds like a tumultuous situation.
Yeah, it can be, but they usually have the same goal in the relationship. They just go about it differently. Whereas an anxious person is very clingy and just depends on their partner to feel safe and for their self worth. The avoidant person is usually self reliant. So
Yep.
say that if they have a situation where they're sad or dealing with something, maybe a grief situation, the anxiously attached person will probably try to do the hugs and the affection and let's talk about it and things of that nature. Where the avoidant person's like, I'll take care of it, it'll be okay, because they want to appear strong and they want to feel like they got it and they don't need other people to feel like they're in control of things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's see. Lou. Is it Lou? So these attachment styles are created as a child. More often, that's where they foundationally develop with the child and the caregiver, is what Kayla was saying. Often during infancy.
Right. And it could also continue to be shaped throughout childhood. The primary years from infancy up until 6 are the core years where that attachment style is being formed the most. But also the early relationships we have outside of that can help shape it too. Like early romantic relationships, such as if there's abuse in a relationship, that can kind of have an impact on the attachment style as well, because it will make you be maybe more anxious depending on what type of abuse it was and how that person responded. So that's trauma too. So attachment and trauma kind of go hand in hand as well. But that's a whole nother topic.
This is a good question. Yeah, attachment and trauma do work hand in hand.
Mhm.
You see it more in the relationship.
Yeah.
Um, can you have different styles for different relationships in your life? Like different, I guess, with different relationship types. Can you have different attachment styles that show more present?
It has been said that you can, that some people, their behaviors and their base is different in romantic relationships versus friendships, or versus your relationship with your family. Like in your family, you may be avoidant and dismissive because that's how your family is. They don't talk about feelings, they don't rely on others, they don't have that closeness or connectivity. When they're or they leave and they try to avoid conflict. And then so you might be that way with your family, but then in your romantic relationship you might still be that way because that's your family of origin and that's what you've learned. But it could also be different. It could show up as anxiously attached because you become more clingy because that's not what you received, in your household or in your larger family. So it could definitely be different, or at least I'll say this: with the attachment styles that we have, you have your core, but you can also have characteristics of another attachment style too.
Yep. And literally that scenario, I have clients that's their scenario, where they weren't shown like in family, uh like sharing emotions in the family setting wasn't a thing. Like it just wasn't often culturally not what you do. But then, like Kayla said, when they move into their romantic relationships, because they find that they crave it, They just don't expect it from home. As far as their family, they crave it in their partner.
Right, right. A big example of that too is saying "I love you." Um, so many people, like in their family of origin, they don't say "I love you." It's like it's implied. You know, I love you because I did this and I do that for you, but they never say it. And so you might feel like in your relationships, it either comes out as you don't say it to your partner because it's not normalized for you, or you crave that, and so you're always saying it and expecting it back.
Yep, yep. So with the avoidant attachment style, what might have the parenting model might have looked like?
That usually comes from that, like the let the baby cry it out scenario. Let them cry it out, let them self-soothe. If a child is frustrated, even as they continue to grow, they're frustrated, the parent doesn't step in, it's like you can figure it out. And they're not coming from a place of being mean, but they want you to be self-reliant because the idea is the world is cruel, so I can't pacify you. So you have to, figure things out, which kind of leads me back to the characteristics. So they're self-reliant. They have trouble feeling and expressing their emotions. They leave to avoid conflict, and their purpose for that is they don't want to make things worse. Whereas the anxiously attached, let's talk about this so we can nip it in the bud and be done with it. The avoidant person is, let's not talk about it because it's going to blow up and get worse. They feel their partner always wants more from them. They have a hard time getting close to others. They're defensive when they're in conflict. Um, their their fight to not be seen. They fight to not be seen as a failure. They place a higher value on success and image than on emotional connection. They feel self sufficient and independence are the highest value, and at times more than intimacy. They're able to get close to others up to a certain point, but they're not very comfortable sharing deep feelings. They tend to delay or completely avoid commitment. And if they make a commitment, they tend to regularly express they're dissatisfied with it. They focus on their partner's flaws, which you can imagine that's an issue when the anxious person is highly critical. So that's a big argument. They do idolize being single because they're avoiding that connection. They can be sensitive to being feeling controlled or pursued. So they don't want to feel like another person is controlling them. They can exhibit distancing behaviors, such as flirting with others, shutting down, and blaming other people. Flirting is a big one that they do. They see that as completely harmless. I'm just flirting. It means nothing because there is no emotional connection to it in their eyes. They withdraw or retreat a lot. They tend to dismiss other people's feelings. They fear that they don't want to be too needy or dependent, and their greatest fear is being seen as a failure.
Wow. So like how so you were saying that there is hope for an anxious attached and an avoidant attached to be in a relationship together. How does that work?
Oh, it takes a lot. For one, getting them to understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. That's a good starting place. And then allowing them to change. So you teach them to be more secure in their attachment. So that core is already there, is formed. We can't undo years of history there, but
Right.
we can teach you some attitudes to have, or behaviors to engage in, for like for one, how to resolve conflict, how to fight fair, how to communicate effectively, because there's different communication styles as well. And to get them to see that they're on the same page, they're on the same side, they just have different means to achieving that same goal.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that sets off an aha moment with couples.
So I know some of the big ones are one of the areas I or specific examples I've seen is like how much time is too much time or too little time if something happens. And I know the anxious attached people, they want it to be like 5 seconds and no avoidance or 5 days. So like how do you guide couples in that situation where it's like a blow up, one person wants to talk about it right away, probably the more anxious attached person, and then the other person wants to avoid the conflict completely.
This is something I see a lot with couples. And so I sometimes I let them choose what they think is appropriate and we'll discuss it in a session. But generally I'll tell them if you want to resolve conflict, you got to be calm first. So if an incident occurs and you're in your feelings, that's not the time to discuss it because it's probably going to become worse. There's going to be yelling, screaming, and you're not going to listen to understand. You'll be listening to respond. So both parties need to come with a clear mind so they can speak in an even and clear tone and be appropriate with each other in that way. So get calm first. Once you're calm, then start to talk about it. And I tell them that a good way to do it is say what I need to talk to you about and specifically state those things. What is the problem? Using I statements for effective communication or I messages. I feel blank, insert emotion when the situation happens. So I teach that a lot because that can be transformative in just the language that you use. Also, I encourage them to take a break, whether they need to use a safe word or just to say, I need to take a break. But one thing I added to that I learned from Terry Real when I was in New York was that when you say, I need to take a break, tell your partner that not only are you coming back, but how long you're going to take that break for. So that,
Mhm.
especially for the anxious person, because the avoiding person is trying to get out of there. But if you tell your anxious partner, I need a break for 30 minutes and I'll be back, you're calming the storm. They know that you're needing a break, so you're not leaving them. You're leaving the situation, and they know that you're coming back. So you're again not abandoning them, and they know how long to expect you to be gone.
Which is fair. I've heard people say, "Well, that's controlling me." No, it's meeting halfway in a relationship. You take your time, but also your partner who may not have the same attachment style that they worry, worry, worry. You can not add to that by saying, "Hey, I need this amount of time," so that they can ground themselves in that.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think that's a big one because people use that. If you can't control me,
Yeah.
tell
Exactly.
me how long. Well, then
Right.
you choose. Let's choose together.
Right. Right. Like set the rules, set those boundaries together. It's because a lot of things that couples come to me with, and I had to tell them first session. I set the ground rules. My job is not to say who's right and who's wrong. They're expecting it. Well, tell me who was wrong. I'm on the side of the relationship. I'm not picking you or you. Who is wrong is the situation. How
Go
can
to
we
your individual therapist and ask them who was wrong.
right? What can we differently? In couples, I say, well, what can you do to improve the quality of the relationship? And I ask each person that because if you're doing your part and you're focusing on yourself and what you can change, you have greater success. Because people shut down when you're telling them what they're doing wrong all the time, and they become defensive, and so it's not fruitful when that happens. So, and you can't control other folks' behavior, you can only control yourself. So
Correct.
mhm.
Correct. And I think in both there could be an essence of I'm trying to control it by leaving, or I'm trying to control it by keeping contact.
Mhm.
That could show up as a toxic trait in both, and handle it just like Kayla said, same goal, handle something different. So communication can get lost in interpretation if people have different views of the same thing. So um cool. Okay, well shoot, what's the third type then of the insecure attachment?
That is the some people call it anxious slash avoidant, but I call it the disorganized attachment style. I honestly feel that this one is the most difficult to repair because it has characteristics of the other two insecure types blended together. It's inconsistent. You never know what you're going to get with this person. So it can be extremely hard for their relationships and for their partners. Most of the people I've worked with this style of attachment, they've never been in a relationship before. So, and it's because of, when your person is anxious, you know how to deal with them. When your person is avoidant, you know how to deal with them. When they're both and you don't know what you're going to get, you don't know what to do. It's like you're constantly on edge all the time trying to meet their needs. They alternate between the anxious and the avoidant attachment. Um, they desire connection and trust and intimacy, but then they will do things to self sabotage it so they can't receive it.
Yep.
So they desire it, but they don't trust other folks at all. So their behavior becomes inconsistent, and also it is contradictory because they don't trust themselves in making those romantic relationship decisions. They're typically on the extreme when it comes to their emotional responses, um, and their boundaries can sometimes be unhealthy, can float between porous and rigid boundaries, and they're prone to have a lot of conflict within their relationships.
I thought you was talking about borderline personality disorder for a second.
Yeah, that is
So
a
I can imagine.
yeah. Yeah, the I think the biggest thing with borderline, of course, there's a history of trauma there. Whereas disorganized attachment, there may not be trauma, but it's just the parents were inconsistent in how they showed affection or showed up for them. It's like sometimes my parent was this way, sometimes they were that way, and they never knew what to expect from them. So they just had to always roll with the punches and be flexible in a way that became unhealthy.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good. Um, I'm glad Kayla made that distinction because I think a lot of times what adds stigma to mental illness is if we don't have a good understanding. So Kayla broke that down like a clinician would, but a lay person, just hearing what I heard, I was listening as a lay person because I listen for things that y'all might ask if you aren't a therapist. So if I hear that and I done read something on borderline, oh, that's a borderline. You can't just. It's more to it than just
Mhm.
what you see and experience.
Right. And what you might see on Google.
Hmm. Because if you would have seen that on Google and heard what Kayla just said, you would be thinking that you'd be telling somebody they got borderline personality disorder, and then this person calling us talking about you told them they had borderline and can we fix it? And meanwhile, it could just be like Kayla said, they have a disorganized, because I also say disorganized attachment style, not necessarily trauma, and those break down to be two very different things and very different prognosis.
Right, right. And sometimes trauma is there. Any of us can experience trauma at any points in our lives. Even vicarious trauma. That's something that therapists experience a lot. And vicarious trauma is just basically when you experience symptoms of trauma that for an event that didn't actually happen to you, maybe it happened to someone you know, or you're hearing about it. So as people, we're empathetic to it, and we can start feeling the effects of that. So that's something like self care with therapists we have to manage and look out for, because we're carrying other people's stuff and holding space for them on a daily basis. So if I'm hearing certain things day in and day out, then sometimes it can have an impact.
Yep, yep. So, oh, Lou, no, Kayla, now, Kayla, I do send her a lot of our couples, but we both do couples and individuals. I'm a little bit more heavy on the individual. Kayla may be more heavy on the couples,
Yeah.
but we do both.
Yeah, it's a good mix. I do couples, I do family therapy, as well as individuals. But attachment is good to know, even if you're coming to therapy alone, so you don't have to be in a relationship to kind of explore your attachment, because you probably have been in a relationship before, and you can kind of learn. It could be part of your healing. Some people take breaks in between relationships and on that healing journey. So understanding how you were in relationships or how you are can help you be ready for the next one.
Yep, yep. So I know you kind of touched on it some, but can you reiterate maybe what the parenting style looked like for an anxious avoid or disorganized attachment?
Nice. Yeah, so it's pretty inconsistent. There may be times where the child may have felt abandoned. So it could be like we're talking about the work schedules and things of that nature, not getting the one-on-one time, and other times when the parent is smothering you with affection. Sometimes it could be abuse and trauma where the parent may yell and scream a lot, or use corporal punishment or just straight out abuse or neglect, but then are patient and caring and loving towards the child. So it's sending mixed messages.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Um, oh man, I was like, well, what might the core belief be? Ah! What's the common core beliefs you see with it? I do want to know.
Yeah, a lot of times with it is unresolved trauma, and it doesn't have to necessarily be from that person. It could be from their parent, something they passed down. So, or it could be grief that's unresolved. So you grieve in a certain situation, you never dealt with it accordingly. So you're disorganized, attached. Their core beliefs are they are erratic and unpredictable. They avoid conflict and often think their partner is emotional or irrational. They seek closeness and avoid it at the same time. So it's a push and pull dynamic with this one.
Hmm.
They fear emotional intimacy, or they don't even know what it is, and they have an intense fear of rejection. So, like the anxious person, they fear rejection, but the disorganized attached person will fear it, but also push it away. Whereas the anxious person is going to hold on to it when they get it.
So
Um,
like preemptive, I'm gonna leave you before you leave me type.
yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes, yes, yes. They have intrusive and frightening traumatic memories when they do have exposure to trauma, and they can dissociate to alleviate that pressure or pain. A lot of times, these are people that are severely depressed or may experience PTSD. But again, this is people who haven't sought any type of treatment for it, so it's all unresolved. They're just walking around living with their pain, going through the motions. So that's why treatment is important. Like I said, life happens to us all, but getting treatment, adequate treatment, is going to be essential for how you move forward.
Yep. This is a good question, and I think Kayla, you may have touched on it briefly, but you could talk more in detail about it. Do you go from insecure to secure, or do you just stop displaying your insecure traits?
We mostly stop displaying it with extra work and extra help, because you can't change your insecure attachment, but you can work to repair it.
Okay, so what might a repaired of these, since you said that, what might a repaired display look like for those?
Um, Let's see. So there may be some inconsistencies, like the anxious person may be very dependent and clingy, but then also able to express that in an effective way to their partner. I know I'm being this way right now, and this is what I'm going to try to do to help it, or to communicate what they need. The avoidant person may be the same way. They know they like to get away, to calm down from an argument or just to avoid conflict. But like I was saying earlier, they know to say, okay, I'm going to take a break, and tell their partner how long they're going to take that break for, but they're coming back. So they still have those behaviors or their thought processes, but they do things to, excuse me, consider the other person.
Perfect. Cool. Cool. Shoot. I was making sure I didn't miss any of the questions in the comments because they had some good questions too. Um, let's see. So you have to get to a point where you're voicing what you need instead of holding it in and being insecure.
Exactly. Yep. Voicing what you need in an effective way. Effective communication is going to be your best friend.
Yep. Yep. That's like that seems so like that's the basis of a lot of things.
Hmm.
That communication, and people say that and they don't even know what they're really meaning when they say it. Because it can be loaded. Like, we're coming in to work on communication. That could be real loaded.
I get that a lot. That's why one of the first homework assignments I give is a problems in communication questionnaire, so they can highlight and rate what those problems actually are.
Yep. Yep. Love it.
Mhm.
I have learned so much tonight. Thank you both so much for you're welcome.
Welcome.
How
Thanks for tuning in.
Right. How would someone deal with their own codependency or others? I'm assuming that may mean on others. Or yeah.
Codependency is more so aligned with the boundaries part of it, more so than just the attachment style. When people are codependent upon each other, that means that their boundaries are pretty much enmeshed, which means that there's an overlap. There's no independence or autonomy there. They're relying on that other person to function, and it's usually dysfunctional.
Yep. Yep. So I like this topic because Kayla's making the distinction that an insecure attachment style with trauma could possibly be
Mhm.
a diagnosis, but insecure attachment in and of itself does not necessarily mean you have a diagnosis.
Exactly. There are two disorders within the DSM-5 that are related directly to attachment, but these are typically diagnosed with children. One being reactive attachment disorder, and the other one is disinhibited social disorder, I think it's called. Um, yeah, which
They
is
got the. I'm gonna look it up. They got the They got the DSM-5 revised desk version. One of my clients told me. I'm like, I'm gonna ask Kayla, do she got it?
I still have just the regular DSM-5 because that's the one that I paid for. I don't want to buy another one right now.
They got a revised version that they just but it's you know how the revised versions work. They
Mhm.
got I guess it's only about 2 years. I wouldn't even have thought to look for it because the DSM-5 that we have just came out in what, like 2016,
Yep.
maybe 15 or 16.
Yeah, I was in grad school when it came out, so that's why I have that one.
Yep, yep. Still works, but they've got some. I might look into getting that desk reference. But okay, cool. What other kind of questions do y'all have? This is a juicy topic. And you might see yourself, if you see your partner in it or someone in your life, definitely let them kind of come to their own awareness of what could be going on with them. So all you got to do is simply just share this live. If you want to spread the wealth of the information, just share the live. And not only will you maybe be informing your partner indirectly, but you will also be helping us break the stigma that surrounds mental health and wellness. Because again, what we're talking about tonight, you may come to us to help repair an attachment style, but that doesn't mean that you have a mental health diagnosis.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. I just did an attachment quiz, and my style is fearful avoidant. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe some of what Kayla was saying might resonate with you as far as the characteristics and how it developed
Mhm.
um, in childhood. Maybe if you think back, maybe you might can draw
Yeah.
some correlations there.
And think about how that has come out in romantic relationships, in
Yep.
conflict, or even outside of romantic relationships. Maybe how it's shown up with family members or coworkers, because that's a big one. We interact with coworkers all the time from day to day, and we have people that we mesh well with, those we don't like, um, and sometimes attachment can have a um, impact on that too.
Yep. Absolutely. Love it. Okay. Well, shoot, this has been great, Kayla. Thank you so much. Like I said, I think it was definitely that intellectual but bite size for people that may just be coming into their own awareness of attachment styles, what it could mean, what it could be, maybe um, maybe some things that they've seen that they weren't able to explain. So, what might be some next steps for the majority of us, 75% of us who could be experiencing one of these insecure attachment styles? What might be some next steps we would take?
Book an appointment with a therapist at Yellowbird Counseling.
Period. Period. That's on period. Let me go ahead and give y'all that number so you can shoot us a text and say, hey, I want to repair my attachment style. You'll text the word new and then you'll say, hey, I realize I need that. So let me get that for y'all. We got y'all. We got y'all.
Yeah. And honestly, if a person comes to me, an individual, and they're telling me that they are dealing with a breakup, so they're trying to heal from that, we're going to work through attachment issues. I have a workbook that I utilize with my clients. So it teaches you your attachment style. It helps you kind of journal some thoughts and log some thoughts about that, asks you some prompting questions, teaches you some techniques to use, and we kind of explore that further. We talk about boundaries, we talk about incidences of trauma. Anytime somebody comes to me and they say, I just want to learn more about myself, we're definitely going to dive into attachment because it's going to teach you a lot about yourself.
You can't just come to it. You can get counseling from a therapist, and that would be more counseling. Like, I just want to learn more about myself. I just want to understand more about me so that I know how to build boundaries, because a lot of people don't even know how to build boundaries. So, again, these are not mental illnesses, these are human experience that we all have, and we all need to learn how to navigate.
Right. Yeah. Because a lot of times what we're feeling and we're experiencing and we need help with, it's not just the attachment style, it's the attachment wounds that come from those styles or those interactions with other people. And so repairing those ruptures that occur from the wound is what we work on in therapy.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. Well, Kayla, do you have any last thoughts for the folks before we let you go?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, again, y'all can take a screenshot if you don't got a pen or a pencil or nothing like that. Just take a screenshot, and this is what you can do, or send this to your friend, family, coworker, mom, dad, sister, brother, whoever. This is the business card right here. Just have them, just send them this screenshot. Send them that so they can do it super simple. We cater to anxious folks. I try to make things as simple as possible, because I know me, I don't want to call nobody. If I could simply just shoot a text and get set up,
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably do that, because I don't want to really talk on the phone yet.
We're gonna have to move for y'all starting September the 1st.
Say it again. Yes, we're gonna have, yes, Kayla found us a new platform that's gonna streamline and make everything easier for our current clients and our new clients. So we have everything all in one place, which is also gonna help with anxiety and things like that. So we all have peace of mind together. So we growing, we evolving, we evolving. So yes. Oh, we love you too. Thank you. Thank y'all all. And please share this, please, again, because Kayla gave some very, very bite-sized, important information that could do a lot of good for a lot of people if they're just aware of it. So please send it. You can even click the share button, click more options. You can copy the link and you can DM it to people. You can text it to people. So even if you don't have any, if you've already shared it to your social media groups and your page, you can also send it directly to someone's phone. So, and those of y'all that are in the live community, y'all can just scroll through that, and all the live screen, most of them are in there. You are very welcome. All right, Kayla. Well, thank you so much. Hopefully we'll see you some more.
Yeah, I have to think about another topic.
The people, you got a lot to talk about, Kayla. You got a lot of education to give us. So we gonna see, can we get you in a little bit more?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, have a good one, and we will talk soon.
Okay, you too.
Bye. There y'all have it. Again, like I said, this is what we do. We make information about mental health and relatable, understandable, so you again don't have to fear that something is wrong with you. Shoot, Kayla said 75% of us fall into insecure, one of those three insecure attachment types, and only 25% of people are in the secure attachment type. And the therapist, man, that anxious is a thing. So, like all of us, me, you, everybody, can benefit from getting therapy, even just to repair an attachment style. And that's, again, more counseling, because therapy is more so for if you have a diagnosis, but counseling helps you work through just the human experience and life experiences that we all have. Literally, I refer back to that live, and I asked the creator on the live, I said, well, have you thought about therapy? And they said, I don't think it's that serious. This person was literally describing depression, but of course I can't diagnose anybody online, and I can't diagnose anybody that's not my client. So I couldn't say nothing, but I, as a clinician, know that you're giving me symptoms of depression, literally describing depression, and they thought it wasn't that serious just because they were ill-informed. They didn't even know what the word depression meant. So it hurt me. It hurt me. It hurt me to know that people are out here experiencing just needing help and don't know how to go about it, or think something has to be serious for you to come see us. No, you can just be human and come see us and just want to know how to navigate the human experience with more ease. That's what people can come to therapy for too. Very important information, so needed. When you know better, you can do better. Absolutely. Absolutely. So please, again, share this live. Thank y'all to all of you who are watching in real time and who are going to be watching on the replay. Please, again, get this out to friends and family, especially if you are a person of color. Okay, because there is a mental health deficit in our community. So if you want to contribute to the healing of that, please just do something simple and share this live. Thank you so much. Thank you. And like I said, y'all go to our page, like it, then follow us, and follow us, and go on ahead and look down if you are interested in vending, or if you know anybody interested in vending or providing a wellness service at our expo. That's going to be on September 16th. Our wellness expo, please, all the information is right there. You literally can pull it up on your phone and you could screenshot it. You could send it to somebody. It's super simple. It's all right there in one post. It explains what our in-kind service providers will be gifted with, and then the cost for the different tiers of sponsorship, because this is a charitable contribution. This is to assist our clients that we're seeing, our interns, for free, continue therapy with those interns since they have now graduated. We got our new interns in. The first batch of interns have clients that still want to continue their journey with them, but maybe don't have the financial means to afford it. So we're doing this charitable event so that they can continue on with their therapist a little longer and get more out of the services they were receiving from the intern who is now a graduate. So definitely take a look at that. The Wellness Expo on September 16th. We have different vendors. We've got the gold, we've got the bronze, we've got the silver packages, we got the general vendor table. So if you know anybody that does any type of wellness, health, spirituality, because that, anything holistic, natural, any of that, or medical even, send it to them. Go to our page, take a look at it, take a look at the details, send it to them. If it's you that would like to sign up, you can do that. Right now it's the early bird special, so definitely want to get in there while the prices are still low. And we hope to see you at our second annual Wellness Expo, okay? But that's all for this evening. I'll be back next week. Gonna be by myself, but it's okay. I need my time with y'all on my own sometimes, just so me and you can connect. So we're gonna have that. But until then, hey, y'all stay cool out here. Literally got the fan blowing on me because it's hotter than a mug in Alabama, okay? I'll see y'all next week. Be safe and have a great weekend.